Finally, my friends, Chapter 5 of Saint Seiya, the Heaven Saga, has been released. As we know, this saga is really exciting fans all over the world. And in this new chapter, we have the surprising return of Ikki and Felix, as well as the beginning of the confrontation between the goddesses Athena and Kerr. Hello, Knights of Amazon. Welcome to the channel. Sempre quis saber. I'm Wesley, and in today's video, I bring you the complete Chapter 5 of Saint Seiya, the Heaven Saga. So go ahead and comment what you think about this saga, which will be the official ending of Knights of the Zodiac. And, of course, click like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and let's get to this awesome video. Always wanted. Saint Seiya Tenkaion, Chapter 5, A Distant Memory. The wind blows gently over the peaceful village of Rodorio, a small Greek village located near the sanctuary. Birds cross the clear sky. Unaware of the great battles of the past, the villagers go on with their lives. And, walking down one of the streets, we see Seiya and Shun, who were returning home. Shun, looking worried, asks, "Seiya, is your leg better?" Seiya answers yes, and at that moment we notice that a bandage is tied around it. On Seiya's leg, this improvised dressing was used to close the wound caused by the arrow shot by the Spectre Jean. They keep moving through the narrow streets, and Seiya breaks the silence by saying, "By the way, I have a favor to ask, Shun. Could you not tell my sister about what happened?" Shun is surprised, but Seiya goes on, "Yesterday, when I talked about seeing that girl, my sister got weird and in a bad mood. I don't want to make her worry." Shun then replies, "Sure, I understand you." They keep walking, and soon after they arrive at Seiya's house. Immediately, Seiya notices the boy's injury on his leg, and worried, she asks, "Seiya, what happened? How did you hurt your leg? Does it hurt a lot?" And, without thinking twice, Seiya makes up a little lie. "Don't worry, Seiya, it's just a scratch. I got it while working." Still suspicious but grateful to see that her brother was okay, Seiya said, "Anyway, I think it's better if we take care of this wound the right way. Go inside." Seiya quickly obeys and goes into the house. Seiya then turns her gaze to the young man with green hair and says, "Thank you very much for accompanying him here." Shun, smiling, replies, "It was nothing. Well, I'll be going now." Quickly, the young man says goodbye and goes on his way. However, Seiya still wanted to ask one more question. She calls out to Shun again and says, "Shun, about Seiya's injury. Is it true that he got it at work?" Shun is surprised by that question and is left speechless. Seiya then insists and continues, "He wouldn't have gotten hurt doing something else, would he?" A drop of cold sweat runs down Shun's face. He hesitates, completely cornered by Seiya's cleverness. His eyes waver and his words start to fail. And, stammering, he replies, No, that wasn't it. I need to keep selling the flowers. Sorry, I have to go." Shun leaves quickly, but Seiya remains standing in the street, watching Shun from afar. She knew that something unexpected had happened to her brother. Far from there, we are taken to Mount Olympus, more precisely to the Temple of the Moon. The atmosphere changes drastically. At the top of a great sacred structure, a high-ranking warrior, between Satellite and Jardimus, is surprised by an unbelievable announcement. She said, "What, Lady Athena?" The imposing figure of Commander Callisto, holding her sacred staff, calmly walks toward Lascamon, who was on her knees. Callisto then says, "Exactly, Lascamone, it's Lascamon. By order of Lady Artemis, we have to protect Athena. She is always worried about her younger sister. I don't want Lady Artemis to be sad." But, however, Lascamon notices Callisto's hesitation when she says, "However." Callisto then concludes, "If Lady Athena's existence continues to make Lady Artemis suffer, then you understand what I mean, Lascamon?" Callisto wants Lascamon to understand her ulterior motives before saying such words in the Temple of the Moon. Lascamon, surprised, then asks, "Lady Callisto, don't tell me that. We are going to kill Lady Athena." The final revelation echoes like silent thunder before the immensity of the lunar temple. At that moment, we return to the surroundings of the sanctuary in Greece. That is the same place where Seiya and Seiya met for the first time after losing their memories, and also the place where the confrontation against the specters took place. Now, the one passing through that place is none other than Shun. Shun, the former Andromeda Knight, and his brother Ikki, the former Phoenix Knight. Apparently, both of them are meeting for the first time after losing their memories. Ikki walks in a mysterious way, and shadows are covering his eyes. Shun, on the other hand, has a calm look, And as always, he was bringing with him the cart of plants and flowers. Neither of them recognizes the other, and they pass by each other as if they were strangers. At that moment, the wind blows, making flower petals float between them. As they walk away from each other, Shun feels something after crossing paths with that lonely stranger. Shun hesitates for a brief second, and suddenly, the imposing lone wanderer stops and breaks the silence in those ruins, saying, "Hey, florist." Shun politely turns his attention to the stranger, and Ikki then asks a question. Were these flowers picked in Elysian, which is nearby? Shun calmly replies that yes, that's right. Curious about the answer, the mysterious wanderer, he continues to question the young man with green hair. Is it true that the flowers picked in Elysium don't wither for a year? Shun reveals that yes, that's true. They say there is a paradise in the world of the dead, which is also called Elysium. The flowers that grow in that place bloom overflowing with eternal life. Maybe the Elysium on Earth has inherited a little of that essence. And Ikki finds that curious and says, flowers with eternal life, huh? Shun then asks, do you like flowers? Ikki answers him in a different way. Bluntly, it's not that I like them, but once a solitary flower caught my attention. It was blooming in a place that looked like hell. A memory from the past appears, like a mirage in the mind of the Phoenix Knight. It's the image of a single, fragile flower, blooming alone in the middle of a chaotic, dark, and hostile scene. It's a clear reference to his past with Esmeralda, on the dreaded Death Queen Island, and Ikki looks at the stars in the sky. And as he looks at the horizon, he reveals, even though it's a distant memory actually, I don't even know if it was real. Anyway, forget it and let it go. I'm just saying nonsense to a stranger. Without giving Shun a chance to continue that conversation, the relentless phoenix starts walking again, leaving the flower seller behind. Shun remains motionless in the middle of the stone ruins, watching that man slowly disappear into the darkness. However, something has changed in Shun. The look in his eyes seems different now. We are taken to the Elysian fields, which are the flower fields near Athena's sanctuary, the place that Shun and Ikki mentioned. Saori arrives at that place where the ruins are covered with flowers. By her side is the specter, Jean de Orthros, who, after being defeated by Athena's Cosmo, guided the goddess to that location. And Athena asks, is this the place where your master is waiting for you? Jean de Orthros, who failed to complete his mission and was forced by Athena to guide her. Having led her to his master, he starts to tremble and answers, yes, it's here. Saori asks, what's wrong? Why are you trembling like that? Jean breaks into a cold sweat and, trembling with fear, answers the goddess, I was ordered to assassinate you, but I ended up bringing you here without a single scratch. And suddenly Saori senses something. She is surprised, and right before her eyes, the specter starts to collapse. He is pulverized from the inside out, and both his armor and his body turn to dust. Athena was surprised, and at that moment, someone approaches saying, the specter of the canine Earth Star ended up being quite useless. Saori turns around abruptly and sees the enemy appearing at the top of those ruins. This is the goddess Kerr, who said, but bringing Athena here wasn't so bad after all. The flower petals begin to move with the wind as the young goddess asks, and who are you? With her eyes shining and emanating an evil Cosmo, Kerr reveals the truth to Athena. I am the younger sister of the twin gods, Hypnos, the god of sleep, and Thanatos, the god of death. My name is Kerr, the goddess who rules over fate. The evil goddess, besides wearing her robes, also carries her staff. Athena observes and calmly comments, Kerr, I have never heard of you. The goddess of evil then approaches Athena and replies, I suppose not, but I have been toying with you even before you were reborn in this era. Saori shows no reaction, but she does show some curiosity, saying, you were toying with me. Kerr's face, taken over by an expression of pure malice, finally reveals, I've been trying to kill you since you were a baby. In fact, I used Saga and Canon. Saori is surprised to hear that, and Kerr, taking advantage of this opening, goes on the attack, saying, but now I'll do it myself. Prepare to die, Athena. Kerr advances, using her staff, and attacks with her evil Cosmo. What will be Athena's fate? My friends, what an amazing chapter. I'm really enjoying the way Kuramada is writing this story. Share your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to catch upcoming videos where I'll analyze scenes from this chapter. And as always, thank you for watching this video until the end, and see you next time. Let your Cosmo burn to infinity.